Matthew's got our first question. I get a lot of error messages having to do with the system container. Guidance says you don't need to add the system container and seems they don't want to extend the AD schema if they don't have to. What are your thoughts on this?
So first of all, this is ConfigMgr, and if you don't extend the schema, ConfigMgr won't be able to publish what it needs to publish in AD. And clients is using that to find stuff. In this particular case, the management point in the site. So they should. The schema for ConfigMgr, those changes haven't changed since the past 20 years. Rock solid change, low risk. I cannot think of any single ConfigMgr customer who haven't done it. And if they're afraid of that executable, I can show the file here. It should be in the install folder. This one here. That there is the LD file that shows exactly what schema changes that are done also. But this is a no-brainer to run. They should run it. And they should give the site server permissions to publish in the systems management container. No need to create it, it exists. If I go to one of my domain controllers here, open up Active Directory, use the same computers, flip it over to making sure it has advanced features selected. Then you have that container, and here you can see that it has published the site as well as my different boundaries. And these are IP ranges, boundaries created. So if I look at properties in this one, I go to security. This is where you can see that you can either add the site server directly to the container, or you can put the server in a group and add the group to it. But this, in my opinion, should be done. Tell them Johan said so. That's something. That's
that works. I've used that before. That's honestly good advice.
But it's just one of those low-hanging fruits.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
Matthew's got a follow-up question here around ConfigMgr. So it starts, might be related to the other issue. I have added all of the MP's SRV records manually to DNS. And it seems they want to cycle through all of the MPs more than once before selecting the correct one. I have the site server and the references tab in the boundary group, and does seem to pay attention to the tends to register eventually, but then some app installs are failing as they try to install before the client is fully registered. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, the ConfigMgr still honors your boundaries and boundary groups in terms of selecting management points. So I wonder if something is up with the boundaries. That would be my first guess. Making sure the client is not in multiple boundary groups, because overlapping boundaries are making things messy. Mm-hmm. Or making sure it's at least part of one boundary group, so shouldn't have blank boundary groups either.
We did have last week, while you were out, there was a question about the overlapping boundary group script that you shared, and I shared Trevor Jones' report on that. That's the one that you generally recommend, right? Yeah. Unless you, okay. Didn't know if you had any other resources around that one.
No, I think I just made a version of it at some point. See if I have that. Um, roll F7. Speaking of back to basics, it's been around for a while. What added with DOS key back in 3.3 of DOS. That was before your time, probably.
uh, before I knew that I was going to be in this industry, I'll say. But yes, I do remember using a text-based computer at one point.
Yeah, you're right. It was actually 87, so it was, yeah, a bit.
I wasn't quite using it yet.
All right, let's see what I have here. Health check scripts. That looks promising.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna open both of these. One is updated later than the other. So probably this one. Yeah, I might have borrowed from Trevor, and then I make some changes to it for the report, I think.
Okay.
So let's see what I have in my temp folder. Nothing apparently. It's gone now. It was event logs. But if I run this report,
Just a small sidebar. I appreciate that you use your temp folder as a temp folder.
oh, all right, let's see. Yeah, so this one tells me that I have my overlapping boundary here, named overlapping demo, because this is an overlapping boundary.
Mm.
It conflicts with the other ones in the same. This range is obviously within that range, and we have an overlap. So yeah, maybe that.
Matthew just had a follow up comment from his question. I think maybe I need a good video or guide on boundaries and boundary groups. As far as I can tell, mine are correct, but makes me a little bit nervous that I might be missing something.
When we discussed this in one of the office hours, there are multiple ways to ask which boundary groups a client is in. You can do it from PowerShell, and I wonder if the support tools showed it also. I remember SVAR had a good, I think he borrowed it from Jason. Boundary group cache report. Yeah, SVAR.
Yeah.
So basically extend the inventory to include that particular namespace. And then you have a report that you can import to get that in ConfigMgr.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually can see the boundary group assignments.
Yeah.
Apparently there is a link to TechNet Gallery, so that one won't work. But what's on the internet stays on the internet, right? We discussed this.
Of course. It's true.
Here we are. No, I do not want to translate. Thank you. Apparently, I got to the French. Yeah. Anyhow, it's available.